County Council member. Pat Dolan, welcome to Big 550 KTRS.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
So you voted against this Mark Tucker, correct?
Well, let me put it this way. I voted for the person who was, out of three candidates, who was qualified as an auditor, who had accounting and auditing experience. I didn't vote against anybody. I voted for the person who was qualified.
Gotcha. But Mark Tucker, the current auditor, who isn't an auditor, who has the job as auditor, I thought he won in a 4-3 vote.
That's correct.
So you voted against him?
Well, in essence, yes. The way the vote was conducted, they had three different potential auditor candidates, and we voted for the person that we thought should be the
Gotcha. So in his right. So
the auditor.
Gotcha. Okay. So in a sense, when you voted for the guy you wanted, you voted against all the others.
Correct.
Yeah. Pat Dolan, people are listening to this and they're sort of scratching their heads. They don't understand this. How can it be that the St. Louis County Council can give a job of auditor to a candidate who's not an auditor?
Well, that's a very good question. There was one candidate who, of the three, that had auditing experience and in fact worked at the time for the county auditor who was there, who was replaced, and with much experience, as I said, in qualifications, and that's who I voted. For me to speak how the other council members, what their thought was, that's not my place, but it's pretty obvious that this was somebody they wanted in there for whatever reasons, and I don't think it was right. And I said that at the time, and I stay with that. That's why I'm calling, because I was at Quick Trip this morning. Somebody said, "What were you doing voting for this guy?" I said, "Wait a second, I didn't."
Right.
So I just want to clarify that not all the council voted that way.
Sure, certainly understandable, and I want, because this was a story, and we talked about it when it first happened back, I guess, in February or March, when he was he wasn't elected, and he was hired more or less by the council on this 4-3 vote, and we talked about it at the time, that how do you hire a man to do an auditing job who's not an auditor? And now we find out that he has a suspect record of showing up for work, and he's not really doing any audits, and he owes $90,000 in back taxes, and so all these other things are coming to light. But again, if the charter says you must hire an auditor who isn't an auditor with 5 years of experience, how does this man get hired who's not an auditor, who doesn't have 5 years of experience?
Well, I like I said, that's how the vote went, but there was the rationalization at the time given to us was that he had experience down in Jeff City with other programs that were audited, and he was part of the result of those audits, but in fact he was not an auditor or a CPA. So that was the rationalization.
Right. And I understand you voted against him, so I don't mean to be coming down on you, and I'm probably asking you questions you can't answer, but this is why people get so frustrated with government, because if you were on LinkedIn or you were on monster.com or you were looking at jobs and they needed an auditor for a company and you weren't an auditor, you wouldn't apply for the job because you're not an auditor. And so this is why people pull their hair out and say this is why governments aren't functioning, because legislative bodies like your body hire people who are clearly unqualified, and or there were infinitely more people who were qualified for this position.
Well, I understand, and I share their frustration. Trust me, more than you can imagine. There's a time and place if you're in a position where you can help somebody attain employment. There's a certain place for that employment. I mean, do it where they're, at least a benefit to the job or the community or the employer. This wasn't one of those. That's the most diplomatic way I can say that.
Yeah. Pat Dolan, anything else you want us to know?
No, there's a lot going on, obviously, in the county. So I just wanted to share that because, people hear the county council, and it's not all these votes are unanimous. So I wanted to let that be known. And I didn't agree with this at the time, and I still don't agree. The guy's personal life is his business. But as far as us hiring an auditor, we didn't do what we should have.
Right. Okay. Does the law? Is it a requirement that you hire an auditor? Is it a suggestion? Is it a guideline? What does the charter say about hiring an auditor for the auditor's job?
Well, it is a required position. I mean, it serves a very necessary function.
No. I understand it's a required position, but are you legally required by the county charter to be an auditor to get hired as an auditor?
It's 5 years of accounting or auditing experience. It's not defined. I don't know.
So you don't have to be
the wording. I don't have it right in front of me. But
right.
There are some requirements, yes, and that's 5 years of
okay.
some type of accounting or auditing.
Does this man, even though he's not an auditor, does he have 5 years of auditing experience?
Not in my opinion, no.
Yeah, that's why people are scratching their heads.
And there was a person who was one of the three candidates who was more than qualified.
Right.
And that's what's frustrating to me. If he could have found a job for this guy doing something else, that would have been fine.
Yeah. Would you like to see this man no longer the auditor of St. Louis County?
Well, from the get-go, I didn't want him to be the auditor, yes, because he's not an auditor.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was an auditor, I don't think we'd have this conversation. I do not think he should be in that position because he's not qualified.
Yeah. But as a county council member, you don't have any recourse. You can't vote him out. Can you fire him? Who has the authority to fire this man or say, sorry, sir, you didn't meet the requirements, or you're not showing up to work, it's time for you to go? Who has that authority to relieve this man of his duties?
He does work for the county council, and we would vote on that. And then, to be clear, the prior auditor contract had run out, so I don't know that he would officially say he was fired. His contract wasn't renewed. He was let go.
Right.
So there is a process.
So the county
if
council.
we feel we need to replace this auditor, then the county council would vote on a new auditor.
Right, but you would have to vote him out before you would fire him, I guess.
I'm not an attorney. I don't know.
You don't know.
I would say yes.
Right.
I would say yes, but
I mean, who's his boss? Does he have a boss?
Well, he answers
to the county
to
council.
the county council and the chairman. The chairman of the county council is the head. It's right now is Sam Page. So that's
who it is.
Yes.
Pat Dolan, I thank you for taking a couple of minutes and giving us a call. And you're always welcome here, sir. Thanks for checking in.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it. Pat Dolan.